welcome to another episode of Financial Freeway. My name is Dave, and today I am not the man rocking the Ray-Bans because, well, the sun's gone down. And I figure if I've got the headlights on in the truck, then probably not a good idea to be wearing my my Ray-Bans. So tonight I am going Ray-Ban-less. It's wintertime. We got to figure out what we're going to do with the podcast moving forward into the darker seasons. So we'll figure that out. But for tonight, right now, no glasses. Just gotta look at these gorgeous pea holes in the snow, as I like to call them. So tonight, what I want to talk about is, first, hey, if you haven't subscribed while you're here, just click on the subscribe button. It doesn't take any time or real effort for you, and it makes all the difference in the world to me. And both of us here at Financial Freeway. And if you haven't already checked out the website, it's financialfreeway23.ca, financialfreeway23.ca, and it's a good looking site. Seth did a lot of good work with it. I'm just fixing this, adjusting this slightly. Tried doing something new. I love using the GoPro because it's sleek and it's sexy, but the transfer from the GoPro to the Mac, it just took a little bit extra time. So, oh wow, beautiful little owl on the line there. Oh, I almost want to go back and get footage of it. Wow, beautiful owl sitting on a telephone line there. Look, owls are my coolest thing. I'm sorry, but for getting distracted, but I love owls. I'm fascinated by them. And to see one just sitting there on a telephone line, interesting. And also a little sad because they're not supposed to be on telephone lines. They're supposed to be in trees and forests hunting small woodland creatures. So anyways, I'm using the iPhone. I went out and got a mount for it for the car. So we're checking it out. We're going to do a couple episodes with it and see how it works. I think the audio is really good, and I believe the video quality is great. The only thing is the anti-vibration. I'm hoping I might be able to pick that up in post, but we'll see how it goes. So, number one thing is, I've talked about this before. I've talked about it to many people before, is you really want to live the best life, period. And if you're not living the best life, quite often, the reason you're not living the best life is because there's things that need to change. So when I'm talking to people about that, a lot of people take serious offense to me saying things like, in order for you to get to the next level, you're going to have to change something about yourself. People don't want that. People want to be loved for who they are, faults and all. I agree. Everyone should be loved for who they are. Bumps, bruises, dents, scratches, all that stuff. Love yourself as well. However, and this is a huge caveat, if you don't change the things in your life or the things you're doing or the person you are, you're going to keep getting the things you've gotten. And that's really, really important. If you are overweight and you don't like being overweight and you want to lose the weight, you are going to have to change something. And one of those things that you're going to have to, you probably have to change a lot of things. You change your diet and such. And if you don't want to change your diet, then that's fine. That's totally fine. It's what you want. But you have to accept the consequences of that. And I think that's the real takeaway a lot of people are missing. Is you're allowed to do whatever you want in life. You're allowed to date whoever you want. You're allowed to dress the way you want. You're allowed to do the job you want, whatever it is. That's fine. No one's stopping you. And that's a great thing about living in North America, is that you have the freedom to do those things. Actually, all of Western society, you have the freedom to do all kinds of things that are just amazing, awesome. But you cannot escape the consequences. And so many people want to do what they want, and they just want to be loved for who they are, and that's fine. But when someone doesn't love you because maybe they don't want to be with someone who smokes cigarettes, I'm using that as a metaphor, or an example, and you smoke cigarettes, and then they say, well, I don't want to be with someone who smokes cigarettes. They have a choice to not be with you. They're allowed to not be with you, and they're allowed to have their own life, living a life cigarette free. They're allowed to do that. So when we tend to these days tell people, you have to love me no matter what, and if you don't love me for whatever reason, whatever preferences you might have, then you're an ist. You can put the ist at the end of it, whatever it might be. But it's okay. Number one, it's okay to have preferences and know what you want and know what'll make you happy. Number two, and this is really important, is that if you are doing something that someone doesn't like, or you are a certain way that someone doesn't like, for whatever reason that is, say you have a certain career that someone else doesn't like, they're okay. That's part of the consequences of doing what you're doing. So if you're, say you're a sailor, you live on a ship, and you're gone 3 months, 6 months out of the year. It's okay for your partner to say, I don't like. Well, you're not your partner. It wouldn't be your partner. It's okay for someone who is who you want to date, saying, sorry, I don't want to date anyone who's not going to be here for half the time. That's fair. And that's a consequence of taking that job. There's nothing wrong with it. I've seen it so many times where people do things. I actually have a meeting right here, so I'm just going to stop. I'll probably just do the rest of the podcast right here. You're allowed to have preferences, and you're allowed to do what you want. But the real important thing, and this is hugely important, is that you are not allowed to live without consequences. And that's just not a Davism. That's an everybodyism. That's a life. That's a law of nature. You cannot eat what you want and not get fat. You can't have any sort of lifestyle you want and expect everyone to accept it. You can do what you want, but you cannot live without the consequences. And that's the real important takeaway here. I saw someone leaving work today, and I could tell that they are not happy. They're not happy with their lives. They're not happy with things that are going on, because we've had private conversations where they've said, no, I'm not happy. And the only thing I can say is, well, if you're not happy, then it's probably because you want something different. And if you want something different, that means you're going to have to change your approach. Because if you keep being the same person, you're going to keep getting the same results. And if people don't want to be your partner in this case, and they want to let you just live alone, be alone, eventually you're going to have to realize that you have to change something. Now, you don't have to. You can do what you want with your life. Your life is yours to do with as you please. But you have to understand there's always going to be consequences. And a lot of times what's happening these days is we're all pretending that there are no consequences, that you can do what you want to live life, whatever the case is. But the reality is that there is 100% consequences for everything we do. And you have to learn what those things are worth. So if you don't, I'm trying to dance around something here. Obviously, you can probably tell I'm fumbling over my words here. But if you don't want certain things in your life, you're going to have to actively keep them out. And that's all there is to it. If you're sad all the time, don't listen to sad music. It sounds like so no duh, but the reality is that a lot of people do almost feel this sweet pain that they almost kind of want to kind of pick at the wound a little bit. If you're sad, listen to uplifting music. I make a point, because in the past I have had to deal with depression, and not horrible depression, nothing that was too over the top, but I did some things that I didn't want to do to get over it. Number one, I started being careful about the music I listened to. I definitely started being careful about the movies I watched. And I started, and I've always been talking about doing the cold dips, the cold dives, cold immersion therapy. That was huge. I didn't want to do any of this stuff. I wanted to listen to sad music. I wanted to listen to eat high carb foods because it felt good, and it felt good in the moment. But the reality was it just prolonged the depression. I had to change because I didn't like the consequences of my actions. And these sound like pretty no doubt kind of things, but a lot of people will dig their heels in and they will jump up and down saying, I have the right to do this, I have the right to do that. No one can tell me how to live my life. And that's true. Nobody can. But you cannot avoid the consequences. If you want to get into the spicy work industry, and you want to do spicy work, that's fine. You're totally allowed to do it. But there are consequences to that. And you can't point a finger and tell everyone that you bump into, you must love me, even though I'm doing something that you don't agree with. That's just not the way it works. But that's what people do. And my thing is that with this one person I know, they're alone and they're very sad about it. They're very upset. And when I say, maybe you need to change some things. Maybe you need to change the way you approach people. Maybe you need to change the way you speak about people and to people. Maybe you've got to give your life a whole bit of a shake-up. Not a bad thing. Don't quit your job. Don't move to another town. Well, sometimes that actually does help. I've heard it helping, but I wouldn't suggest it. But get to the gym. Start hanging around with people that like being healthy and exercising and don't like going out and drinking. Start hanging around with people that are ambitious and want better things for themselves. Work on your vocabulary. Read. Me, I listen to audiobooks all the time. I was listening to them in the gym today. If you don't like where you are, you gotta change the path you're on. But the first thing you have to do is think about the type of life you want. Number one, get it in your mind exactly how you want that life to look. Two, the next thing you have to do is you're gonna have to change some things. And it might not be cool. It might not be fun. It might be hard. It might be a lot of work, but that's what you got to do. So, and finally, at the end of the day, you have to accept the consequences. And part of those consequences, believe it or not, even if you're changing to be a better person, you want to be more educated, have a better vocabulary, you want to work out, be healthier, stop drinking, stop smoking, put the weed away. The consequence of that is some of the people that are in your life now, as you're changing, they're going to leave. And that's unfortunately, there's a consequence to everything. But what I say is when you're living your life, when you're choosing the life you want to live, figure out what it is and choose it. And yes, you're going to lose friends. Yes, people are going to judge you no matter what, but keep moving on that path and you will get to where you want to go and you will have the life you want. Accept the consequences of your actions. Accept the consequences of your choices. Yeah, a bit of a heavy one. I'm sorry. But it really got to me when I saw this person walking out feeling a little bit down. And I thought, I just want to tell her it's a quick, easy fix. We can do this. But she wasn't too receptive to that idea. Anyways, folks, thanks so much for listening. I got to take off to one of the 3 meetings I have this evening. And but if you haven't already subscribed, check out financialfreeway23.ca. Thank you so much for going there. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, make sure you share the word because it is our mission to make sure that everyone in the world understands that they have an inalienable right to live a life of abundance. Thanks so much. God bless.